So for this mask, I'm a real bird. So I'm sketching out my bird first on a piece of blank paper. Some of you have done this process before, so you may skip or refer to your drawings. So what I'm doing here is I'm referring to my mask and I'm doing a sketch, a rough sketch. Okay, it doesn't have to be very detailed. So I look and observe on the birds and see what I can observe, like the feather, the kind of shape that I want, what kind of details that I want on my mask, and draw it in. So some of you may wonder, should I look at websites to look at photos? No, you don't have to. You may refer to the printed out pictures of birds or any character that was given to you. So right now, I'm jotting down all the colors that I need to find my resources. So here I have some construction paper that I have collected in school. So you might be wondering, what if I don't have a specific color? So let's think outside the box. If you have any coloring materials, you may color them on a piece of blank paper and turn the colors into the color that you need. Alright, like what I did here. So let's go through quickly on some shapes of feathers that we can draw. Alright, some popular shapes that we can have is teardrop shapes, or basically any shapes that you observe of the birds. Like some other kind of pattern would be strips or haircut, or slim kind of paper cut that you can do with your paper. So right now we observe a bit of the mask. So do you notice that there's a lot of curve on the mask? Alright, this curve shape can be quite tricky. So what you want to do is you want to make the paper soft. So one way is to crumple it up really hard. Alright, so you get all this tiny little band, and as you can understand, the more you crumple, the softer the paper, and when the paper is softer, it's easier to follow the shape of the mask. Alright. So right now, I'm measuring my paper onto my mask just to make sure the amount of space needed, or probably the more materials that I need to crumple. Alright, so once I'm more assured, I can prepare my glue, my white glue, spread it evenly on the mask. Alright, not too much because it will take too long to dry or it gets too wet, and spread it evenly. Okay children, when it comes to pasting of paper or when you're handling glue, do not rush. Alright? Do not rush your work. Make sure you press the different area of the paper to make sure it sticks properly. Alright? Now we gotta do something on the other side of the mask. So you can see all this excess paper, you can cut it off. But remember, always leave a little bit of extra paper to neaten it up. So this is what I did. Paste a bit of glue, fold it neatly, remember not to rush, and prepare some paper clips to hold the two items together till it dries. Alright, so just think of these paper clips as our spare hands. Alright, so they will help us keep holding it in place while it dries. So when it comes to the eye, you want to make a hole. Alright, be careful when you're handling scissors and piercing through paper. Do it very gently. Okay, pierce the rest of the paper with your hand or finger and stick it aside with glue. As usual, use the paper clip to hold it in place. Do the same for the other eye. Alright, just double check some of any parts of the paper that is flagging and not sticking well. Make sure you just stick with glue with them. Now let's get ready to cut out different parts of the mask and get busy with the pasting. Okay, if you would like to cut multiple of the same shape, do the folding technique. Alright, so you fold depending on how many pieces you want, and you draw it down of your desired shape of a feather and cut out. So technically you are cutting 4 pages at the same time. So guess how many I got? You can do the same for the rest. Alright, so what you see here, I'm cutting into strip paper or like hair. I call it hair in class. Okay, so I fold it to half to get into multiple pages done all at the same time. So now I'm doing the same for all the other parts of the mask. So I want to do a crown looking shape for my mask or the bird. So here I am tracing the mask on my blue textured colored all pastel paper, and I cut it out. So from this stage onwards, you will be cutting and pasting and sticking all these paper clips to hold them on together till it dries. So the steps repeat till the end of the whole mask and is completed. Alright, so yeah, there's a lot of exploration that can be done. So here I actually just tried out overlapping this paper that I just cut out into like strips. Alright, so before you start pasting all the layers together, be mindful that you always should take out the paper clips first, especially those that you have already put for quite some time. I'm sure the area will be dried up by now, so you can use the paper clips for other area. Oh yes, I want some special features for the eye because I remember my Biro bird has a black jet pupil. Alright, but you know, I can't cover up the eye, then how would I wear the mask? So what I did is I placed something that is similar, which is using a black paper on the top of the eye area. Alright, so it doesn't cover the eyes as they can see through. Okay, now adding on other details that I did not draw on my design earlier. So all these are extra papers that you can use. Now coming to the beak, the best part. This is a 3D part where you can do a pop-up beak. So a beak shape usually has a diamond cut to it. Alright, so you want to be folding the papers, you can cut both pages at the same time. So I did a triangle and I cut it out. Alright, so now this is a little tricky. Sorry about that. Okay, you want to snip a bit of cut at the top. Alright, fold it. So when you fold, it should make that pop-up effect. Alright, so when it makes that pop-up effect, then you will see that some extras coming out or jutting out at the top. So do cut them. Alright, so for this part to be done properly, there's a little bit of try and error needs to be tried out first. Alright, so if you want the beak to be a little bit sharper and skinny, you want to push both of the triangle closer together. Alright, so making the space more hollow. If you want it to be broad, so you just spread out the triangle space wider apart and then you glue it together. So it really depends on the kind of beak that you want. So again, once you have ready found your desired space to put your beak, secure them with your paper clips. This one you have to be careful because a lot of curved area on the mask. Okay, and leave it to dry. So I'm doing my finishing touches. Okay, I use my all pastel to add a bit of colors. You can skip this part if you don't want to, or if you want to use other materials like watercolor, up to you. Alright, So here it is, the final outcome. Look at how the texture and the papers layering one another. Wow, I love the crushed paper the most. Makes my bird look so fierce. Alright, children, now it's your turn. Okay,